you were very close to getting Peter Quill. You almost got Star Wars.
Pretty close. Yeah.
You were in the running.
Yeah.
You auditioned for Captain America. So like when those like come and they feel close, and you're like, oh my God, the next 10 years of my life, I'm gonna be a Guardian of the Galaxy with James Gunn. We're gonna kill it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's well, at those points in my life, I didn't know it at the time, but I was a very unhealed, broken person. You know, I felt like I was more whole, but so in fact, it's really crazy to think about that I was somehow able to manage surviving through so much of my, 18 to 37 when I had my breakdown. I mean, I for all that time, I was white knuckling it through, and all the rejection as an actor, it's not like you're going and selling vacuums and people reject the vacuum. They're rejecting you on some level, which is
I don't like
very
your face.
Yeah, I don't like your face. Literally. I mean, or not, and even though they it might not have anything to do with the value of it, but rather they're looking for just a different type of face. But it's very difficult to not feel like they hate me or whatever,
Yes.
But somehow I was able to really navigate almost all that, and never really truly dragged me down. Maybe it's just because I felt so supremely confident in my calling to be an actor, and I always felt like, ever since I was a little kid, I was meant to do it. But I don't know. I mean, listen, certainly as I got older, just because like mental health is like dental health. Like it starts as a little cavity, but if you don't get in there and fix it, it becomes much worse in time. So when I was younger, actually, my mental health, though my things were askew and off, it hadn't really rotted as much yet, And by the time I was 37, it had gotten to the point where I needed a full-blown root canal, mental root canal. So, Captain America, I mean, that was quite some time ago. And there were other things that were kind of even before that. I can't remember exactly, but I remember going in for Captain America, and I was thinking, well, I look like Roger's pre-serum.
I got that part nailed.
Like, clearly they could help me work out and I could get big and I could, but wasn't meant to be. I did not have that energy. Chris Evans had that energy.
Did you get the costume on? Was that one of those?
No, I didn't make it that far. No. But I know I had a great read. I just wasn't their guy,
Yeah.
And then as far as, Star-Lord, listen, I mean, it was kind of a crazy sequence because I was cast as Fandral the Dashing in the original Thor film, Kenneth Branagh directed, was amped to. I was like, oh my God, I didn't get Captain America, whatever, dude. I get to be Errol Flynn. I get this swashbuckling Lothario. Like, come on, what a fun role. Directed by Kenneth Branagh with an English accent. Like, he even liked my English accent enough to hire me, the American, to do it. I was like, this is tits. This is great. Let's go. And then, but Chuck, which was also a massive blessing in my life, but had these moments that were heartbreaking where they, like, last second, they picked us up for like an additional 6 episodes, and they said, you can't go do that movie. And I was crestfallen. I was so bummed. And I had to, and that role went, and Josh Dallas ultimately played that role so well, and he was in the first film. And, but then that, circled back with the second one with
basically the same thing happens.
The Dark World, and he's on Once Upon a Time. He can't do it. Feige's like, hey, would Zach want to take this role again? And to be honest, look, and I insisted on talking to Kevin about it because for 2 reasons. One, I saw the first movie and I didn't really feel like the Warriors 3 were utilized in that great of a way. And I was like, is that going to be the case again? Because if it is, I don't really want to do that, And he's like, no. It's there's going to be a huge part of this movie. Not so much as it turned out. And but the other thing, I was like, hey, listen, I also don't want this to preclude me from being able to be another character. Yeah. Like if this is the only chip I get to play, then, thanks, but I would rather wait for something else. He's like, no. Chris was, Johnny Storm, and then he got to be Captain America. Also, Ray Stevenson was Punisher before he was Volstagg. I mean, there were a few, kind of. Technically, though, these were kind of Marvel tangential films. So
this was prime Marvel.
This was prime Marvel, So it was like he was kind of, saying it could happen, but also I was like, whatever. Anyway, point is, ultimately, it seemed like it would all be fine. So I did the film. The Warriors 3 weren't really used all as much as I hoped they were going to be used. But I appreciated the job. And to his credit, right after that, Guardians was kicking on. And so they were like, hey, and James, I knew James through friends and Mafia game nights and stuff like that. And he wanted me to come in and read for it. And I did. And he was like, okay, let's do a callback. And I did that. And he's like, okay, we're going to screen test you. You might very, very well be the guy. And it ultimately didn't work out. And that one hurt because it really felt like, I don't know, the way that we get into our own heads of like, oh, I think this is it.
Right.
And then our expectations get so high. And really so much of our disappointment, if maybe not all of the disappointment we feel in this life, is just unmet expectations. So don't have expectations. The moral of the story, don't have expectations.